Namaste everyone. Myself Kritika Goyal and I welcome you all to this meeting of Young Indian Theosophers Group. As you all know, in today's meeting, we will be studying the part 1 of chapter 12, that is Building a Cosmos of the book Ancient Wisdom by Annie Besant. So let us quickly sit in meditation. O hidden life, vibrant in every atom. O hidden light, shining in every creature. O hidden love, embracing all in oneness. May each who feels himself as one with thee know is also one with every other. Come back, everyone. Thank you for joining. So, our speaker for the day is Brother Dhruva. Brother Dhruva is from Chennai. He is a lawyer by profession and also a radio broadcaster. He joined Adyar Theosophical Society in 1998. He is a licensed tour guide. He is also a heritage enthusiast. I request Brother Dhruva to deliver his talk. Over to you, Brother Dhruva.
Namaste and welcome to this session. Uh, yes, the topic given to me is on building a cosmos. As I was telling Shikhar last evening, rather than me giving a one-way darshan on this topic, I would rather make this more of a discussion-oriented topic, as building a cosmos is not something which we do it in a manner that is one way, but we do it in a manner that is conducive to all, where everybody participates. Before I go on to lead this discussion, I'd like all of you to participate in this discussion. We need to understand certain terms very clearly. What is a cosmos? What are the terms ethos, pagos, and logos? And what does the term logoi mean? So, going by the simple dictionary meaning of what a cosmos is, the cosmos, as they say, is a universe seen in a well-ordered whole, a system of thought process, a gender-free intellectual cosmos. So this is the very basis of cosmos in a philosophical sense. Another definition, as I was talking about, is about what the terms logos, ethos, and pathos means, or ethos, pathos, and logos. Because in this topic, we will constantly keep hearing these words. And ethos is something, or rather, I'll start out with the word logos. Logos is something which appeals to the reasoning of an audience or a person. And it helps to build up logical arguments. So that's what the term logos means. Ethos is all about the speaker's authority or the status. The way I convince you with a proposition or an idea, that is depending on my ethos, my stature, my presence in society, the command I have in society. All this helps to build a narrative with which I can convince you of what I'm going to say. And the term pathos is where, when I speak, I appeal to your emotions. I speak in a manner that your emotions are aroused. You may feel sympathetic, you may feel angry for a subject. So that's the way I go about convincing you with a logical argument based on my authority and that appeals to your emotions. And lastly, for the term logoi. The word logoi comes from logos. And once again, in Greek philosophy and in ancient Christian theology, it means the divine reason that is there in the cosmos, where I'm ordering something and giving it a form and meaning. When I'm saying ordering something, I am ordering something, I mean the Lord, creator of this world, of this universe, gives an order for the whole divine reason of the cosmos to exist and creates the whole thing. So we need to understand these basic meanings before we go ahead with this discussion. I hope I'm clear on this. Can I have some feedback on this?
Yes, you are clear.
Yeah, I hope everybody understands what I'm talking. So going ahead on Annie Besant's view on building a cosmos. The whole thing is based from the standpoint of view of a single logos, where you have a particular manifestation of a certain order on which the whole theory of a logos is built, and based on which you have the universe being built on that order. Now, in this process of creating an order, we say that the sun is at the lowest level. There are various levels to this. We start off with the sun and saying that in this manifestation, the sun is the most life-giving of all the stars, or rather in the solar system. Without the sun, there is no life in the solar system. This is something we all have to admit. And a lot of this theory or this narrative which Annie Besant speaks has its origins in the 19th century when our theories of the universe was undergoing a drastic transformation. You will have to understand that a lot of it was being related to ancient Greek philosophy, the certain understandings of Christian theology that was blended with new scientific understanding, discoveries, and thought processes of the latter half of the 19th century. And this becomes a subject of debate in today's world because our certain understanding of the universe in the 19th century may not hold good for our understanding of the universe as it exists today in the 21st century. Because we have been constantly, theorizing and changing our stand on many subjects. And we have evolved over a period of time. So we will have to take Annie Besant's view on this in a wholesome manner and try to fit the whole thing in today's context. Now, certain things as she talks about, yes, about the sun being one of the most important things in the universal presence for us in the solar system. And there is a reference to the principle of the breath, the prana, which is vital. And this is also discussed by HPB in her secret doctrine. An interesting aspect here is where they refer to the physical body of the logos, and the sun is one of the lowest in that state. Now, I'll not go too deep into it. I will not want to make it too confusing for you. But all I would like to say this that is the appearance of the logos or this particular divine order. And where does this divine order come from? Certain references are made by HPB and Annie Besant to the Upanishads. One of the references in this chapter is to the Mundaka Upanishad, where they say that this divine order is manifest and all is manifested after him. His manifestation is all thus becomes manifest. It's a very interesting way to say that all is manifest. But to go behind this, how does this manifestation come? Where is this spiritual intelligence coming from? How does the universe come into existence? It's still a mystery. In fact, this the Upanishads itself says is a mystery. Where is the beginning? Today's theories on the universe go beyond one step of this mystery. Now, we may often refer to the Big Bang theory as the beginning of the universe. But going one step ahead of the Big Bang theory, where does it come from? What is the source of the Big Bang? So let's go a step behind the Big Bang. What is the source of this Big Bang? Well, if I'm going to look at it from the perspective of HPB and from the way in which the Theosophical Society has looked at, they have looked at it as 7 stages in the creation of this logoi, or rather this so-called divine order from which everything has come. And this once again has a certain reference in the ancient Indian scriptures. I can take this reference to a particular topic which I would like to discuss here is the thing called the Manavantra. The Manavantra talks about where we come from and where does this whole process start. Now, it could be a little delving into mysticism, but nevertheless, I could share that with you. I will just put that page on the Manavantra. Is what they call as a divine year. Now, a Manavantra in Hindu cosmology is a cyclic period of time, which has a certain duration and is also known as the age of the Manu, to whom we relate to as progenitor of mankind. Now, this concept of 7 levels comes from an ancient Indian concept, or rather, I would say an ancient concept that was there in Greece, an ancient concept that was there in many ancient civilizations, which talks about the 7 rishis, And of these, there is a talk about the Vaivastha Manu, Vaivasvata Manu, rather to be more precise. And here they talk about how the whole thing begins. He says a Manavantra is a period of time which is about 3.67 billion years. And this is what they call as one divine year. And this repeats in 71 yuga cycles. And they say this is a part of a kalpa, a day of Brahma, which is 4.32 billion years. And there are 14 such manavantras, and it goes on in a particular cycle. So I'm already confusing you a lot. I will not go into further confusions. Now, of this, there is a Chatur Yuga. There's a, in each Manamantra, you have so many yugas. And this is known as the Chatur Yuga, and each Krita Yuga, Treta Yuga, Dwapara Yuga, and Kali Yuga. So we're not going into those things. It's a very confusing thing, but there is a math to it. So I would like to explain the math in another topic separately. One thing which I would like to talk about here is where HPB talks about the 7 realms that make up our solar system and the 7 Laya centers. She says that the 7 Laya centers are like 7 0 points, and she uses the term zero in the same that the way the chemists do. I'm just taking an extract from the Secret Doctrine as seen in this particular chapter. And there is a lot of esotericism in this whole thing. And she talks about the metaphysical aspects of the 7 suns of life and light, and the logoi and the hermetic and all of the philosophies that differentiate and constitute our solar system. I'll take a break over here. I will throw this subject for discussion amongst all of you now, so that you understand what this whole thing is all about before I go any further. So if there be a topic for clarification or discussion, we'll do it right now. Is everybody in sync with me, or are you bored? Or can I go the whole?
Yeah, well spoken, Dhruva. I just want to say that you remind me a lot, especially the Chennai people, and I think others who might have heard C.V.K. Maitreya, who passed away. Your pauses, your voice is exactly like his. And it's amazing how Theosophy finds new people to replace the old. So I just wanted to say that about the 7 layers, it just occurred to me that there are these 7 chains that are supposed to be there in our solar system. Possibly they represent the 7 layers because they are probably each one has its own Kumara. So each one's got its own sort of God's head. And it may be that these 7 chains, and we are part of the Earth chain. And you know that a chain doesn't represent one planet. It represents, for us in the Earth chain, represents Mars and Mercury. So I just wanted to add that.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. Absolutely. You're on dot on this particular aspect. And Shikhar, anything that you would like to add to this?
No, not actually, as Vimalji said, and very well you have brought us up till now, step by step, going deeper and deeper and carefully reminding us where to look for. And what you said about this, I think I just want to make a comment on that beginning thing that you said, the sun is the lowest manifestation of that. So we can understand it in just this way, just we, the physical body, is the lowest manifestation of our Atma.
Yes. Yes.
So similarly, what we are seeing, the physical sun, is just the physical body of that spirit, that is the spiritual sun, and which is also called in our Vedas Savitri. So Savita is the spiritual sun. That is the spirit behind the physical sun, because every body, every object here has these subtle bodies. I mean, astral, mental, and all. So just like that, because initially when I read this, I thought sun is the lowest manifestation. How can that be? So just like we have our highest principle as Atma, similarly, physical body, what we see is only the physical body of the sun. And so that's just, and Laya centers, Vimalji already said. And one more thing about the Manvantara. Manvantara is also a generic word.
Yes.
So because just like we say, I don't know how to compare it with, like we say a cycle can be of 1 minute, a cycle can be of 1 hour, a cycle can be of 1 day. So similarly, Manvantara also, that's why there is a Manu for the race, there is a Manu for the round, there is a Manu for the chain. So as their high level of consciousness at different levels, like principle, if we say, so principal of a lower primary school, principal of a high school, principal of a graduate, and vice chancellor. So like that, these Manvantara also are at different levels and at different durations also.
Okay.
Yeah, just I want.
That's a very interesting discussion, because I was initially getting confused with the Manavantara, and I was always thinking that it has to be fixed. Now that you're giving me a total different perspective, and that's a very interesting perspective on the entire Manavantara. That's that. Thanks to you for that.
Thanks to you for making this discussion alive.
Yeah. Otherwise, it would have been so boring. So I'm understanding more concepts on the Manavantras. Yeah. So now coming to this thing as what Annie Besant and HPB have said on the logos and the secret doctrine, where they talk about the whole physical existence and the astral planes. Yes, the lowest is the physical plane. So the comparison is in a very allegorical way. The sun is looked upon as a physical object, which we can perceive. So anything physical is the lowest, and the highest would be of something of the archetypal or the arupa, as that particular thing goes. It goes in that form of various globes, spheres, in which we move various cycles. It goes like from various levels of the arupa, the rupa, the astral, the physical, and then you again go back to the other levels. So I shall presume that we take it in that same format. Am I right? Is there anybody else who would like to add to this? Shikhar, do you want to say something on this?
No. I think it's
because they talk about 7 levels
that
the whole existence goes through, and the universe itself in various phases goes through this. Rather, when we say universe, what they're trying to say is it is the human conscience. The human conscience goes through these various phases, and one is this physical phase, prior to which is as a formative phase, and then there is an astral phase, and then there's this creative or intellectual phase. These various phases through which the human consciousness goes through, and we are a sum total of these phases, and all these things have an effect on us. And in a very subtle way, they try to say that all these are part of the planetary body, and the planetary body disintegrates and is reformed 7 times in its planetary life. In other words, now let us go back to this particular thing of 7. The word 7 is something which is caught up in many philosophical aspects, in many civilizations. Something which I very constantly see in various texts. So what would you like to talk about the 7 aspects in everything? Is there something which you would like to add on this?
Yeah, actually, HPB has written in Secret Doctrine that 7 is the number of our solar system.
Hmm.
So, and we all know that God or whatever name we give it, it works. I think the mathematics or arithmetic is the one of the favorite subjects. So maybe it is said God geometrizes. So everything that we see has an order. Whether we see music, Sat Swar, whether we see the colors, 7 colors, whether we see our bodies, 7 principles, 7 planes, or, oh, a very interesting thing in one of our meetings, a person who is related to computers, when we were discussing this, he told that in the our internet, no, in the computer systems, there is something called OSI, something system, open system intercommunication, something. In that also they have 7 layers of hierarchy or something, even at the computer. Yeah.
Very
So
interesting.
yeah, so what I thought that whatever we are seeing here, even the scientists are discovering or people are making unconsciously, they are guided by that inner wisdom or inner knowledge, and that's why when we see it outside as some object, it is in harmony with that principle. And that's why 7, even it is said that since it is only the 4th round, that's why we have only 4 Vedas or 4 noble truths given by Buddha. Later on, as the time comes, there are actually total 7, which will be given in the coming times.
The coming time. Yeah, that's what the whole chapter talks about towards
Yeah.
the end. That we are only talking about the 4th and the 5th, 6th, and 7th is yet to come,
Yeah.
and we are going to discover this, and it will be revealed to us as
Yeah.
part of a divine revelation that we will all be going through. So that's what it says. Now, one thing which I like to share here is in numerology, 7 is looked as a number of mysticism. They say it's a mystique number, and a lot of mystiques connect themselves with 7. And people who are born on 7 are also supposed to be very mysterious persons. So there's always a sort of a shroud of mysticism in what they do, in what they are connected with, and how their brain functions. So if you are a 7 born, you always know the person has got something mystique in him. So that is another thing which I like to share with you, because sometimes I hear somebody who was born on 7th day of a month, oh, there's something mystique about this person. You can actually play around with that. 7. So now coming back to the subject on this on this whole thing, she also talks about she also gives a lot of references to Mr. Sinnett, who was one of the theosophists of the 19th century. And she refers to his 7 schemes of evolution. And in her occult commentaries, she refers to his 7 lights, and on this whole topic, which is in a way a subject of discussion, that because that has 7 stages, and the way in which planetary logos works around this chain. So, do you think we should go into that in the depth of it, or do we just look at it from a very cursory perspective?
Kritika ji, please respond.
I didn't hear that.
If everybody allows, we can go in depth.
You want to go in
For
depth?
me,
Okay.
I am attending for the first time this topic, so I would like to go in depth, but let's ask.
I hope we are going to have another session on this also, no? We are allowed to do that. So it's better
Yes.
we go in depth.
Okay, fine. Because although I'm not prepared to go in depth, but then
So we'll discuss and see. That will
I
be
will just
really
try to
interesting.
take a dive and hope it doesn't become boring.
And find the pearl of wisdom.
Okay, so when they talk about these 7 layers, as you rightly said earlier, as one of you rightly said, 7 layers through which we go. They also talk about the manavantras and the incarnations that we all go through. They say it is divisible, or rather subdivisible, into 7 stages. And they call it waves of life, of the planetary logos, which goes into life waves deeper and deeper. And in this globe, and you can understand it better, they say, if you look at it as something round. Consider yourself to be going through 7 stages. Put yourself in the shape of a round spherical object, and you are going from one layer to another layer. And in this movement from one layer to another layer, you pass through a certain nebulas. Now, what does the word nebula mean? It's interesting to know that the word nebula, from a dictionary perspective, means a bright area in the night sky that is caused by a mass of dust or gas or a large cloud of stars. Now, this is the scientific explanation for the word nebula, a huge mass of dust and gas. So, the perspective is you are in the universe, traveling in space and time. As a thought process, you are going through 7 layers, and one of those layers is through the nebula. You pass through this. It's like going into a time machine. You're going to a time machine, a live wave. Now, in this process of going to a time machine, you as a person are evolving at every step, from the physical plane to a higher and a higher and a higher plane. And they say that you have a successive existence in innumerable forms as you pass through various phases. The only thing is connecting the dots. Connecting the dots is the most important thing when you go through these phases. Most people, when they go through these various levels, they fail to connect to the dots. And that is the important thing which you need to understand. So when you go from physical level to an astral level and to the next level, your mind needs to be prepared that I am going to go through this process. And I may not go through this process in one life. I may go through this process in different lives. And that is why in the Hindu system we say 7 janmas. Now I'm bringing the Hindu philosophy into this, the 7 janmas. I may not finish this in one life. It takes 7 births. We have this concept of 7 births. Now each birth, I take a physical form, and in that physical form, I go one level higher and higher and higher in that physical form. And that is my interpretation to this whole thing. I mean, I feel this is that is the best interpretation, rather than confusing you with going into astral, archetypal, and various things. Let's break it down into simpler things, and let us blend this with our Hindu concepts. So making it simpler, making it down to earth, to our principles which we have learned from our parents down the ages, or from our ancestors down the ages. So I'm just making it simpler. So in this process of living in earth, we go through various phases, and in each janma or each lifetime, we try to achieve this particular phase of our lives where we achieve something, where we evolve to be a better human being. The catch is when I go from one life to my next life. Let's assume I shed this physical body today, and I'm reborn tomorrow in another physical body. Can I connect? Can my newborn physical body tomorrow connect with my past? Is it possible in today's world? No. Unless I prepare myself in my previous life, or rather today, I say, I'm going to die today. I will be reborn tomorrow. And when I'm reborn tomorrow, my rebirth will connect with my past. I will be born as an evolved being. And when I say I'll be evolved being, I will know that some point of time as I grow up, I will know that I've achieved so much in my past and I will achieve so much more in my future. Have I made that point clear?
Yes, sir.
So Kritika, there no point saying yes, sir. Okay. I want you to be a part of the discussion, and Shikhar and Vimal also can add to this whole thing. All of you can keep adding to this whole thing. So going ahead, this is the concept that you relate to every birth, and you keep connecting the dots, and you go from one step higher and higher and higher, and finally when you reach the seventh janma in your life or seventh creation in your life, you are the highest order. Your brain is of the highest order. It relates the highest order of thinking, that you can be the Buddha in a moment. You just connect to be the Mahavira or the Buddha. You are right there. And this is what the essence of this whole chapter is, that you strive to reach that point as quickly as possible or as late as possible. Take it at your own pace. You can take it at your own. You don't have to reach that tomorrow. They're not going to give you a gold medal by reaching at that point. Oh, I'm reaching that point of highest point. Give you a gold medal for that. Nobody's going to give you a gold medal. Nobody gave a gold medal to the Buddha or the Mahavira. Didn't matter to them. But when you reach that point of enlightenment, at the highest level of evolution, of evolved being, none of these things matter. And it is up to the individual to strive to reach through those phases. Your views on this?
I request Sandhya ji to comment something. Sandhya, you have read all this in detail. Please comment something.
Sandhya ji. No, but I think you have explained here very nicely with the example of death, that from one realm we pass on to another realm, from physical, and however all these temporary bodies are destroyed or dissolved, and then we at some point we are in that state of consciousness which is all knowing for a very small part of time, fraction of time, and depending upon the evolution of the person, whether you will be conscious there or sleeping there. And then again, due to karma, you are pulled back down, passing through all these realms, and very nicely explained. And on a lighter note, I would just want to say that on reaching enlightenment, gold medal, I don't think, but definitely you will be crucified like Jesus was. Because many times the public people in general, they do not like the truth, even if they want truth, but even truth they want in their own version, not the real truth. So that's why there is so much opposition, but that's just
the problem comes when you speak the truth.
Yeah.
If you keep your mouth shut,
Yeah,
nobody is bothered about
it.
You have the truth within you, you live the truth, you act accordingly, nobody is bothered. You live your life. The moment you're going to have a sermon about it, you're inviting trouble. The moment you're going to have a movement about it, you're inviting trouble. Because you're going to upstage an existing equilibrium, that was there, and an apple cart is going to be disturbed, and people have a certain agenda there, They don't like it to be disturbed. So there is
The-
always
I
disturbance that
I
is
would
happening.
take the liberty of quoting one sher. I don't know if you know a little bit Hindi, Dhruva? Little
I
bit?
couldn't translate it. I
Okay.
understand if your Sharia has got a mixture of Hindi and English, and
Okay, okay. It says, जब से खबर उड़ी है, सच बोलते हैं हम. Like the moment this news, this information has spread out that I speak the truth, जब से खबर उड़ी है, सच बोलते हैं हम, पत्थर बरस रहे हैं हमारे मकां पर. Means the stones are being showered at my house.
I only wish the stones are diamonds.
Yeah. Suralina ji.
Most welcome.
But then I would also like to, quote Shikhar, what he, suggested in one of these morning sessions only, that if we cannot speak out, even if it's true, if we cannot, if you really do not want to put an impression on someone, impression as in forcing someone, an impression is a force, actually an external force. It's better to use our thought power than open up. That really struck me. I'm kind of a person people who know me, they know that, I speak on the face, the very blunt truth, because I'm a person who can also hear out the truth. And I think it's courageous. People who speak the truth, they have the courage to face the truth. And the other day, Kritika probably was talking about feedback giving and taking. I was, because little kids, they have struggle in feedback taking and giving, mostly feedback taking. So I was telling, when you join a corporate, when you grow up in the ladder, you will open up to give feedback, to take feedback. And it's not about a corporate life. It's about when we grow up, when we evolve, we are actually exposing ourselves to the truth. But then there are people in the surrounding, people who are not evolved or less evolved. So it's better to use our thought power. When that is one mantra Shikharji, gave us in one of these sessions, it really struck to me, a person like, I'm a very extrovert kind of person. So it struck me, it helped me also in some situations.
I'll fully agree with you, Suvarlina. Can I call you Suvarlina or?
Yes, of course.
Suvarlina,
yes.
okay, fine. See, I fully agree with you there because we have to be bold and courageous in calling a spade a spade. Nevertheless, we need not hurt everybody when we are being bold and courageous.
True.
As they say, I have a right to be bold and courageous in calling a spade a spade, but I don't have a right to hurt you. So that is where this factor called diplomacy comes into play. You can say, Dhruva, your whole session was nice, but it was boring. But you can also say you try to make it interesting in future.
Right.
So that means, okay, you have a potential of making it interesting. So therefore, please add some jokes to it. It makes it more interesting. So then I'll take it positive. But you say, Dhruva, your whole session was boring. I feel so depressed. Whole day goes into a depression. Right?
So we have Brother Subramanyam with us, and he has written in the chat, my understanding of the evolution of birth of any being on planet Earth is the process of energy in several dimensions through the code called genetic code passage through millennia.
Beautiful. There can't be a better explanation on this. This is beautifully put. Yeah, there is.
He has again written the birth, spread of life through phases calculated in years, and cessation of life is all one process. Everything on cycle of energy and energy, nothing beyond.
Beautiful. I'm just reading the chat. Yes, very beautifully put. Thank you so much for sharing your thoughts. It's such a beautiful, you put it so succinctly, so beautifully put. Yes, there is a genetic code which passes through the millennia. Today we call it genetic code. In the past, we call it as a consciousness. That's all. This is a genetic code which makes up a consciousness in a different manner. And it is this which we need to understand. Once you break the genetic code, you understand, you're deciphering that whole genetic code. And that blooms into this consciousness that we are. And I would like to bring in a certain thing on astrology. I like to make it a little more spicy on astrology. Because in numerology, once again, we say that when you evolve from one level to another level, here we say that people born in the next level, they are born on particular dates. For instance, in numerology, we say certain numbers that you're born on, like 15, 19, 21st day of the month, 23rd day of the month, 24th day of the month, 27th day of the month. These numbers are supposed to be very powerful numbers. If you're born on any of these, in any of your born. And you will see some of the greatest people in the world who were great thinkers were born on some of these days, not all of them, I'm saying some of these days. Because there is a connect with the past life of theirs, the good karmic deeds they have done in this life was blessed with a birth in the next life, and they were born on some of these powerful numbers. And these numbers come, these dates of birth come with certain vibrations at the very threshold itself. And they add a lot of value to the person's upbringing, thought process, and karmic deeds. Yes, Shrikant.
Yeah, in this, actually, yeah, this is the common understanding. And if you go to a numerologist, astrologist, or everyone, they will tell you that. But only after reading Theosophy, I realized that actually, due to your past karma and your state of evolution, it's not that you took birth in certain planetary condition or on certain date, but, and that's why your nature is now being governed by them. But actually, due to your past karma or past genetic code, when that planetary situation occurred, that time you took birth. So actually, it's not that the planets are governing our destiny or future, or numbers are governing us, but we are taking birth as per our own planning. And that's why it is a very deep knowledge, I mean, deep discipline, astrology and palmistry. And we can add one more thing to Brother Dhruva's biodata, numerologist and astrologist enthusiast.
Occultist.
I was just about to
You
say
use the
that.
word occultist. You use the word occultist. I only refer to occult sciences here.
Okay.
And an interesting thing here, something which we should not lose sight of, is what HPB herself has said. Astrology is only that which is based on precedence. Because the planets were like this event occurred. It's based on precedence. She also says science is based on substantive finding. Astrology is based on precedence. So, to put it in a nutshell, if the Earth, Moon, and the Sun came in one line, you would have a solar eclipse. That doesn't mean every time the Earth, Moon, and Sun comes in the same line, you have a solar eclipse. It's only a particular angle in which they come that you will have a solar eclipse. Otherwise, every month the Moon comes around between the Earth and the Sun. It doesn't mean you'll have a solar eclipse. So it's that particular angle in which it comes, you will get a solar eclipse. And that is why she says you need to use your intellect. Substantive, science is substantive. Do not get thrown out in these precedents. It is just that because these happen, this happened. No, it's just precedence. So use your intellect here. And she says that you need to go to substantive sciences to arrive at your inferences. So this is a warning from HPB herself in one of her talks. So all these things as we think, but one thing here is what I would like to point out. In addition to what HPB said, we can look at it from a very positive way. We can influence our future based on the present. We can always say, I want to be this in my next life, or I want to achieve that in this life itself. I can live as long as I want in this life, and I want to go from one level to the other level. And if just in case I have to go another life, let me be born with this best of planetary conditions, which allow me to evolve to be a better being. When I say planetary condition, it also means the people around me, the atmosphere around me, the family around me, the terrestrial, the terrain around me must conjure or must make it perfect for this life or for that life to be one which leads me to a higher plane in the 7 levels and quickly allow me to arise to those 7 levels, the highest level on the astral plane, and are they called as the arupa and the archetypal plane, and then reach a state of enlightenment or where I connect with the divine. Is there anything else you would like to add to this?
All clear, sir.
Okay, now for some text which I would like to refer to in these various levels. As Annie Besant says, the lowest of the physical plane is one where we build models, forms, and we strive to reach to what the highest builders of the archetypal ideas, and we guide the builders to the arupa levels. She says that you always strive to go to that higher level. And she also talks about the mental matter. And she says that from a lower builder level to a higher builder level. That is how you keep moving on in this whole process. And she talks about the whole movement in a form which goes in a curve. You go into this and then you come out like that. Now, this is something which has always intrigued me as to why we go through this curve. Would someone amongst you try to throw some light on why we go through this curve? Yes, that's the right graph which you put. Arupa A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H. You go through this typical arrangement. What is the reason that we go through this curve? And well, they call it as the human evolution. The archetypal form is human evolution. And they also call it that is guided by the solar pitris and the lunar pitris. Can someone throw some light on the lunar pitris and the solar? Because I still find myself to be confused with the solar and the lunar pitris.
Actually, this part is pretty clear in Man, Whither, Whence, and How. So if you read that book, I think you will get this very clearly on what it is. What are the lunar pitris? Basically, they are evolved beings of past Manavantras who send their manas component to the newborn. To the human form. It happens in the third root race. First and second, they don't have that manas component. The third root race develops that manas component. So from the Lemurian race onwards, the lunar pitris send that component. So some call it Kumaras and those Dhyan Chauhans and all also. That same thing is, I think, as I understand it, maybe Shikhar made it more clear.
No, I think Vimalji has very precisely pointed out. But instead of going into the details of these names, solar pitras, lunar pitras, Agni Shatva, Barhishats, and 7 suns, or all those things, I would just like this paragraph from the book itself, that with himself, I mean the solar logos, he brings the fruits of a past cosmos, the mighty spiritual intelligences who are to be his co-workers and agents in the universe now to be built. And then there is a hierarchy. Then in hierarchy, I mean, everyone has to read, as Vimalji said, for oneself to really understand and make an image, mental image. It's just like, any government that works. I mean, when the new prime minister or chief minister is elected, he selects his own cabinet or her own cabinet. Then the cabinet is there, then the parliament is there, then when you come to state, there are different levels of ministers, cabinet ministers, state level minister, and that minister, this minister, coming down to panchayat in a village. So all, and at every level there are workers or the posts which are working. So all these have come, and for that you need to have an eligibility. And eligibility, as Annie Besant and in all of the books it's written, that they come from the previous cosmos to which they have evolved. And this is also one thing that we discussed earlier. Even the solar logos and even all these spiritual intelligences have been human, and from human only they have evolved so much. They are not any extra terrestrial god or something that who is sitting somewhere and just doing all this. All these things, all these Brahma, Vishnu, Father, Holy Ghost, and jo bhi hain, whatever names are there, they have been evolved through humanity, and they have reached to such a level that they are given charge of a full solar system to form. And along with the solar system, even solar logos is evolving. So then next time he will be given a responsibility of a bigger solar system or a bigger galaxy to take things. So that's and in detail, as if anybody wants to read, they can read in Man, Whence, How and Whither, or Secret Doctrine, or Solar System of A. Powell, and many other books. Yeah. Thank you.
Just one clarification before we close this discussion. I think we are coming to the end of this discussion. Because he talks about 7 levels, and we stop at the 4th level, and the 5th, 6th, and 7th level is something which will be revealed to us at a later point of time. Now, when we talk about this entire solar system that is being formed, we're talking about a solar system which is within us, right? The whole system forming within us.
No, it is also on the macroscopic level.
Okay.
This is actually being talked about the macroscopic level. The real solar, the solar system that we talk about, the planets, and also the same representation, the correspondence is in human body. That is why a human being is called microcosm.
Microcosm of the macrocosm.
And also, since you said why is it in the form of curve, I would think if we say instead of a curve, we can say it's in a cyclic order.
Okay.
Cyclic order. Because from A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and then after G, it goes to the next A. Or for the first 6 rounds, from G, it goes back to A. And then again A, B, C, D, E, F, G.
Then we come back to this Manavantra concept. It goes through the entire Manavantra.
Yes.
Which keeps on going on.
So, actually, Dhruva, I will post my video on chains rounds, which I have made after reading Man with Whence and How. And maybe we could take this discussion after you go through that. Because if people go through the video, they can also give me more input on where I've gone wrong or what can be improved on my understanding.
Fabulous.
About this chains rounds. And
please do share your video.
I'll share it.
Thank you so much. So I think we can close this discussion with this with this kind of open discussion which I've had on this particular chapter of building a cosmos. So the building of a cosmos is not done in one particular manner. I would end this discussion saying it has a certain degrees and levels to it, and all of us keep contributing to this various levels consciously, so that we go from one stage to another stage to reach the final stage, which will be revealed to us by the divine creator himself when we deserve to have that revelation. I end up on this in Shaiva Siddhanta. In South India, we have a thing called Shaiva Siddhanta. In Shaiva Siddhanta, one of the concepts is that the teacher appears to the student when the student deserves to be taught. The student never goes in search of a teacher. And even if the student goes in search of a teacher, he never gets the teacher. But the teacher will appear when the student deserves to be taught. So when you deserve, or when you prepare yourself to reach that level, consciously, automatically that revelation comes to you. With that, I like to close the session.
Thank you so much, Brother Dhruva. It reminded me of autobiography of a yogi. But one thing I can think of is it's like a staircase. So you will have to climb it step by step to reach the top. And then at the end, the final stage is being brought on. Anyway, that the form you took this presentation was really wonderful, because usually at the end, I open the forum for discussion. And at the end, some doubts are remained unsolved, because as we proceed, we forget to ask certain queries. But this form of taking the meeting is really nice. I will also copy this. Thank you so much, Brother Dhruv. And Brother Subramaniam has written one thing in the words of Mahamopadhyaya Swami Tattva Vidananda Saraswati, Sikandarabad, an expert of Advait philosophy, of the opinion the astrology on planetary movement on our life is not at all required.
Yeah, that's what the same point which HPV says. You should not fall prey to the whole. That's it.
So thank you so much, but still I would like to open the forum if anybody else has any doubt left, he or she can ask, and then we'll proceed. Taral sir is on video. I think he wants to say something.
या ध्रुव, आप मैं थोड़ा हिंदी में बोलूंगा और बीच बीच में आपको इंग्लिश बताता जाऊंगा। मुझे तो आप उस ध्रुव तारे की तरह लगे जिसे देखने का मन करता है बार बार उस अंधकार में जो आकाश में छाया रहता है, और ये तारा अपनी और अपनी रोशनी से खींचता है। तो आप भी, जो ये मीटिंग का आपका अंदाज है, मुझे बहुत नए नए प्रयोग बहुत पसंद है। और सुबह सुबह इस तरह से लोगों को जगाना, मतलब जो आपने बोला ना कि एक मैनिफेस्टेशन होता है कि हम जो देख रहे हैं, शिखर जी ने बोला कि जो सूर्य हम देख रहे हैं वो सूर्य नहीं है, वो उस धरातल पर है जो सबसे लोअर है। तो उसी तरह हम जो आपके सामने ये जितनी भी मीटिंग्स होती है, मैं भी कंडक्ट करता हूँ, शिखर जी भी करते हैं, सुलना जी भी करती है, सारे यहाँ पे जो लोग हैं वो करते हैं। तो हमें ये जो सामने बैठा है वो प्रत्यक्ष रूप से तो है, लेकिन अंदरूनी रूप से जगह है या नहीं है, जगी है या नहीं, ये मालूम नहीं पड़ता। तो आप ये बार बार टेस्ट करते हैं, ये बहुत अच्छी बात है। और इससे ये लगेगा कि जब भी ध्रुव भाई आएंगे तो उस विषय को अच्छी तरह पढ़कर आना पड़ेगा, वरना पार्टिसिपेट नहीं कर पाएंगे। तो ये भी बहुत अच्छा रहा। और कृतिका, आप तो ध्रुव का पैटर्न हमेशा फॉलो करती हैं, तो आपको कुछ और फॉलो करने की जरूरत नहीं है। सुरुलना जी ने ये आपको अच्छी तरह सिखाया है, हाउ टू ब्रिंग पीपल टुगेदर। तो बहुत बढ़िया लगा, काफी चीजें बहुत अच्छे से समझ में आई, क्योंकि दो तीन लोग जब समझाते हैं उदाहरणों के साथ तो बहुत अच्छा लगता है।
Brother Dhruv is very much confused that what have you said. So basically,
I have said all bad things about you. That you are like a Dhruv star.
Pole star.
Pole star.
As long as I'm not polarizing.
Yeah, that's wonderful.
Oh.
बस सुबह सुबह आना चालू हो गया शिखर जी।
अरे नहीं, आपसे बिल्कुल बिल्कुल।
लेकिन आपसे मुझे एक शिकायत है।
हाँ जी,
कि अगले सेशनों में आपने एक जो ये मैनिफेस्टेशन की बात हो रही है, तो उम्र भी मैनिफेस्टेशन है, क्यों ये 41 साल का पाबंदी लगाई गई है?
नहीं सर, दैट इज नो, वो सही है आपकी बात। देखिए, बट देयर इज अ परमार्थ सत्य एंड देयर इज अ सापेक्षिक सत्य, एब्सोल्यूट ट्रूथ एंड रिलेटिव ट्रूथ। So when we are living in with this world and working of an organization, ये जो मेरा बनाया हुआ नहीं है, that is the TS thing, not my.
नहीं सर, TS पे भी मतलब एक लॉजिकल ट्रूथ होता है और एक एनालिटिकल ट्रूथ होता है।
हाँ जी।
तो लॉजिकल ट्रूथ ये कह सकते हैं कि क्या हर शादीशुदा इंसान शादीशुदा है, ये लॉजिकल ट्रूथ हुआ, ओके। बट हर शादीशुदा इंसान खुश है, ये मतलब विवादित ट्रुथ है।
नहीं नहीं सर, but शादी के लिए the age is decided. If you get married before that age, that is a crime.
नहीं, मैं तो शादीशुदा इंसान की बात कर रहा हूँ सर।
No, but
यहाँ
that
पर
is
जो लोग आते हैं, भले
subjective,
किसी
sir.
भी उम्र के हों, 18 साल के ऊपर रहते हैं या छोटे भी रहते हैं,
हाँ
तो वो ऑलरेडी शादी कर चुके हैं अपने थियोसॉफी के साथ।
हाँ नहीं नहीं, but sir, that what I understand your point. Being young at heart is
तो मुझे आने दिया जाए ये समझकर कि मैं नादान बच्चा हूँ।
नहीं नहीं, तो आपको मना किसी ने नहीं किया सर, आपको मना किसने किया?
जी जी जी, नहीं नहीं, मतलब मुझे लगता है कि हमें उल्टा करना चाहिए कि हर एक व्यक्ति जो कोई भी उम्र का हो, वो अपने साथ एक यंगस्टर को शामिल करे यहाँ पर। ये मेरा सुझाव है।
हाँ नहीं नहीं, that
मैं कोशिश कर रहा हूँ कि गुजरात के जो 3 यंगस्टर्स हैं जिनको अभी तैयार किया है, लास्ट टाइम कृतिका ने इसको कंडक्ट किया, वो तीनों लोग किसी तरह यूथ में सुबह सुबह जुड़ जाएं। तो मेरी इनसे बहुत अच्छी से वो चल रही है कि भाई तुम लोग जुड़ो, तुम लोग जुड़ो, तुम लोग जुड़ो। तो इस तरह से मैं सोचता हूँ कि दैट इज द रोल ऑफ ऑल 41 प्लस
to bring new definitely sir. Or I am also trying to talk to Indian section that this young Indian theosophist group, if they can give a slot of 1 Sunday or 2 Sundays in the Indian section time, that is 10:30, so that will be officially, I mean the Indian section उसको हाँ करेगा, तो उसमें फिर हम लोग, मतलब वो इंडियन सेक्शन का ही फिर तरफ से होगा यंग इंडियन थियोसॉफिस्ट, तो उसमें हम लोग फिर अगर मान लीजिए 1 संडे या 2 संडे मिलते हैं तो अकॉर्डिंगली वी विल ट्राई टू डू दैट, बट दैट विल डिस्कस लेटर।
Shekhar ji, we have also started this thing which I am telling you in Triveni, that we will always have after every 4 speeches or 4 meeting, one will be dedicated to youth. और thanks कि आपने ये यूथ का जो सुबह सुबह शुरू किया है, उसी में से सारे यूथ को पिकअप करना, ये हम लोगों ने निश्चय किया है। तो लास्ट टाइम जो हुआ उसमें मेरे ख्याल से 2 बहुत ब्राइट बच्चे आए थे और पूरे जितने भी लोग उपस्थित थे उनका दिल जीत गया।
तरल जी जब भी आते हैं, ऑल द यंगस्टर्स कैन वॉच आउट, क्योंकि बिल्कुल टैलेंट स्काउटिंग के लिए आते हैं मीटिंग। पकड़ा ना तरल जी।
ओके, I think we should not deviate from what Brother Dhruva has told us and taught us, and the subject that
Also one thing, I made a mistake. It was not Brother Subramaniam. It is Brother Pattamata Raghu Ramarao.
And that is not Kritika's mistake. That was my mistake because I misunderstood that Brother Subramaniam was there. But my apologies, Brother Pattamata ji. I misunderstood that it's Brother Subramaniam.
And he has a very valid point when he says, I was reading all his texts. It's a very valid point when he says the whole thing must be looked at in this life itself. The entire calculation must not be looked at from the perspective of different lives. He's put a very valid point in the chat box. I think we should understand it from his perspective. Is a very, very, very valid point. I do respect your view, sir. It's a very, very valid point. What you make.
So, is there anybody else who wants to ask anything or comment anything, or shall I proceed? Okay, so I'll take it as a thumbs up to proceed. Well, thank you so much, Brother Dhruva, for making the session so lively and so interesting. And so we'll meet you next week and carry on the session. Till then, for the time being, let's meditate and absorb all the new things we have learned today and sit in meditation for a minute. ॐ सर्वे भवन्तु सुखिनः सर्वे सन्तु निरामयाः सर्वे भद्राणि पश्यन्तु मा कश्चित् दुःखभाग् भवेत् ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः ॐ Thank you so much, Brother Dhruva, for making this session so interesting. And thank you so much, everybody, for joining. Let's meet next week, same place, same time, and same facilitator. And please be safe till then and enjoy.
Same moderator. Thank you. Thank you,
Thank you,
everyone. Thank you, Dhruv.
Bye.
Thank you, everyone. Bye bye. Enjoy.
Bye bye.
Thank you, Taralji. आपसे बात करनी रहेगी, मैं कॉल करता हूँ आपको.
हाँ, मैं भी करता हूँ. Thank you. Bye.
Bye. Okay.
Thank you. Thank you, Dhruva. Thank you, Kritika.
Thank you so much.